Okay. Okay, значит, we're finishing up chapter 4, Perek Dalet. So we really finished the main text, and we're almost finished with the Hagol, with these additional notes that he put in the elaboration notes, right? And so we're talking about his explaining the idea how there is this threefold system, right? There is the world, the Beis Hamikdash, and there's the person, and each of those three are really corresponding. They're parallel. They are similar to one another, right? The three microcosms, right? And the last thing that we spoke about was the connection specifically between the person and the Beis Hamikdash. He brought that there, the different midrashim that show you that the items in the Beis Hamikdash correspond to the different faculties within the human being, right? And the last paragraph that we saw together was the paragraph that said, he brought a Gemara. The Gemara says that that the acts of the righteous are greater than the creation of the heaven and earth, because by the creation of heaven and earth it says that my hand founded the earth, right, and my right hand formed Shamayim, right? So there's only one hand regarding the creation of heaven and earth. There's only one hand, singular, is being used. And by the actions of tzaddikim, it says Mikdash Hashem koinu yodecha, the Beis Hamikdash of Hashem, your hands have formed it, right? So hands over here is plural. So we asked 1 second, what's the connection? You're talking about the actions of tzaddikim, and you're showing the proof. It comes from the creation of the Beis Hamikdash. What's the connection, right? But so he says, because the answer is because the actions of tzaddikim are parallel to the building of the Beis Hamikdash. So the actions of tzaddikim are equivalent, so to speak, to what's going on in the Beis Hamikdash. So that from that we see that just like the Beis Hamikdash is involved in two hands, right? Or or if you want to elaborate on that, the bringing of Shechina, of the residence of Hashem in this world via the Beis Hamikdash, specifically in this world. So to the actions of tzaddikim bring the residence of Hashem in this world, right? So the hands, so the acts of tzaddikim are more important, more significant than the creation of the world, which again it's a logical thing because the creation of the world is really only a place where the actions of tzaddikim are supposed to take place, right? So obviously, what's more important is the purpose, not the stage, right? What happens on the stage is more important than the stage itself. So obviously, if we're talking about, I'm saying logic, if we're talking about the actions of tzaddikim, they're more important than the creations of heaven and earth, because those are only created for the actions of tzaddikim, right? Okay. So this is where we have to. So we have to V'yesh loimer al derech zeh. That's where we are. We're in this Hagol. V'yesh loimer al derech zeh. Let me see. I'll show you where it is. So we did this. We're right somewhere right there. V'yesh lefarash al derech zeh. Okay.
You have it?
I mean, you have the Hebrew text in the back. If you want to, I'm saying, I don't know, whatever. If you want to flip back, I don't know. Let me see if they have the notes in the Hebrew text. Anyways, no, see, they don't have it. Just double check. No. No. There are no notes in this version.
It's okay.
Right, no notes in this version. So if you want to follow along, this is where we have to. And this is one line, and then we continue to the next set of copies.
Okay.
So it's going to continue over
Okay.
here. Okay, v'yesh loimer al derech zeh, yesh lefarish in your text, yesh lefarish, there is to say, there is to explain, on, according to this path, in this way, hakos of the pasuk that says v'osu li mikdash, and make for me a mikdash, right? V'chol asher ani mareh oischo, according to all the different the ways that I'm showing to you, right? This is the pasuk which describes the building of the Beis Hamikdash. Do it exactly how I show it to you. V'chein tasu, and then it ends off, and so you should do. So what's the connection? You already told me, and make for me the mikdash, and so you should do. I mean, obviously that's so I should do. You give me instructions how to do it, right? Mm-hmm. So Rabbi saying Zal Dorshu, and rabbis darshan from this pasuk in Sanhedrin, v'chein tasu l'doros, that from this we learn that a similar process goes for generations, meaning the next time you build the Beis Hamikdash, you follow the same process. Okay, but ula darkenu, but according to our way, yesh lemer gam ken shirotzu lemer, we can also say that it means to say al techashvu, don't think shetachlis kavonosi, that the end goal, the end of all, a kavonosi of my kavon, of my intent, who asiyas hamikdash hachitzoni, who is the creation of the mikdash, the external one, hachitzoni, right? Don't think that my goal is to really just to build a beautiful building, a beautiful structure. That's not the purpose. Ela teidu, no, and rather you should know shekol tachlis ritzoni, that my goal of my will, betavnis hamishkan, in the building of in the structure of the mishkan, v'chol kelov, in all of its vessels, rak lirameis lachem, that it should be a hint to you, meaning it should be a guide for you, shmimenu tira, that from it you should see. What should you see? Meaning the parallel between, again, the Beis Hamikdash and yourself. V'chein tasu atem esatzmechem, and so you should do. When it says so you should do, make yourself, right? Make yourself atem. You make yourself shetiyu atem, that you should be b'maseichem, with your actions, through your actions, haritzuyim, that are desired, the desired actions, kitavnes hamishkan, like the structure of the mishkan, v'kelov, and its vessels. Right?
So there should be an example for you, and the ultimate goal is you learn from it and you become
right. The reason the creation of the Beis Hamikdash is not to build the structure, but the purpose of the Beis Hamikdash or the Mishkan is to you look at the structure and it's like in the sense it's a blueprint for you how to make yourself into the Mishkan. Right? Because you are, right, just like there is a parallel between you and the Mishkan, right? But the parallel is there, but obviously if you don't serve, if you bring the wrong sacrifice in the Mishkan, that's not going to be good, right? You're going to push away the Shekhinah, right? If you bring a pig into the Beis Hamikdash, it's not going to be good, right?
It's like bringing a...
Right, into the Beis Hamikdash, like we said before. Right, but on the positive side, you have the ability, right, but you have that's on the negative side, but on the positive side, you have the ability to be the Beis Hamikdash, right? How do you do that? First, you understand that this external Mishkan, which is for the entire nation, is really just a lesson for you how to make yourself into that Mishkan as well. Kulam Kedoshim, all of them are holy, Ru'uyim, Umuchonim, they are worthy and are ready lehashreis shchinosi b'seichechem mamash, that for me to rest my shchina amongst you mamash. Right. Zehu ve'osu limikdash. This is what the pasuk says. Ve'osu limikdash, make from me a mikdash v'shechanti b'seichom daiko. It specifically says, make from me a mikdash and I will dwell in you. Right. Mm-hmm. Again, we mentioned this idea before. It doesn't say that and I would dwell in it. It said, I will dwell in you. So again, the idea is, what does that mean, I will dwell in you? If you learn from it, and if you appreciate the lesson, that external, the visual aid, so to speak. So the Beis Hamikdash is a visual aid for us how to become the Beis Hamikdash. That's the point. Right? Like all the ways that I'm showing you the structure of the Mishkan, tachlis, kavanosi, the goal of my intent, that you should make yourself in that way. Okay? Good. So that's this paragraph. So the purpose of this paragraph is to say that the purpose of the external Beis Hamikdash is not really for itself. It's really to allow you to become the Beis Hamikdash, because the goal is for me to dwell in you, in Klal Yisrael, not so much in the physical structure that is the Beis Hamikdash. Okay, and we see a similar thing later when the Shlomo HaMelech is building the Beis Hamikdash, right? Shlomo HaMelech is building the Beis Hamikdash, right? After the completion of the building of the Mikdash, so Hashem tells Shlomo, Abayis Hazeh, this house, Asher Atah Boina, that you are building, Hurak, and he just skips a few words, so it's only Im Telech B'chukoisai, if you follow in my commandments, right? V'shachanti b'soich ami Israel, and then I will dwell amongst my nation of Israel. Daika again. So we see the same daika means, it's a good deal, so to speak. It's very precise, right? So precisely it uses this idea again, repeats this idea that even the Beis Hamikdash that Shlomo built is also again, if you follow my commandments, then I will dwell in you. There's a direct connection between commandments and Shechina resting in Klal Yisrael. Therefore, so here it goes back to the idea that Felix mentioned, right? Therefore, when they perverted, when they destroyed Pnimius HaMikdash, the inside of the Mikdash, that's inside of them, meaning the people, then the external Mikdash was of no use, was of no help. And its foundations were destroyed. Rahman Litzloin, God save. Now he connects it to the Beis Hamikdash described by Yecheskel, which is the third Beis Hamikdash, right? And similarly, Hashem says to Yecheskel, Haged as Beis Yisrael, go tell the house of Israel as Habayis, all about this third Beis Hamikdash, right? And they will be embarrassed, they will be like ashamed of their sins, right? And if they will be ashamed, also from all of that they have done before, Tzura Sabayis, this form of this house, Utchonosoi, and its foundation, Umoitzov, and its exits, Umuvoyov, and its entrances, V'chol Tzuroisov, in all of its forms, V'eskol Chukoisov, and all of its laws, V'chol Tzuroisov, V'chol Teiroisov, and all of the forms and all of the laws, Hoida Oisom, go teach it to them, right? So clearly, even though the third Beis Hamikdash is, it's going to be later, going to be rebuilt by Hashem, right? But Hashem is saying, go and teach to the house of Israel this picture of the third Beis Hamikdash, uksoiv le'eineihem, and write it before their eyes, v'yishmeru es kol tzurosei, so they will guard, they will watch, they will have this tradition of this tzura, of this form, v'eskol chukoisav, and all of its laws, and again it ends v'osu oisom, and they should do them, and they should do them. Right, again, the same kind of ending by as we have in the Mishkan, and so they should do them. And the same thing the Targum explains, if they lower themselves, meaning they be ashamed, from all that they have done previously, etc. Let me just look up in the Targum.
In the Sefer, it's not translated.
Well, this part you don't have in your Sefer at all.
Your translation version.
Yeah, it's like cliff notes.
Yeah. Right? They will be ashamed from all that they have done, and he brings again all of this, all the forms of the house. bum, bum, bum. So that's it. Doesn't mean I realize now what he's saying. So he's coming to say that the im yiskanu mikol the avodu, if they will be ashamed from all that they have done before, right? B'machzei hanturas beisa, through their vision of the form of the house. So the difference is that in the pasuk it says if they will be ashamed from all that they have done, here they will see here's the form of the house, right?
Okay.
Right? There's no direct connection. Just Hashem is saying that listen, you're going to be only worthy to the third Beis Hamikdash if you step away from all the previous sinful ways, right? Logical, right? The third Beis Hamikdash will only come, but the Targum changes it a little bit. The Targum says if they will be ashamed from all their previous sins through the vision of the house.
That's the first thing.
So we see that the vision of the house itself is there as a way for you to become the Beis Hamikdash. You learn from it to learn to teach yourself how to purify yourself in order to become that Mishkan. So that's the difference between the Targum. The Targum adds that letter Beis, b'machazehon, through the vision. With that extra letter Beis, he changes the whole meaning of the pasuk. The simple meaning is that when they will move away from their sinful ways, here they're going to get the third Beis Hamikdash. So the Targum says miskanun mikola de avod, if they will be ashamed from all their previous ways, b'machazein, through the vision of the house. So we see that obviously, like he says, that the external bias is there as a way for you to learn how to become better. So that's why you go ahead and teach this vision, because that's the way you're going to improve.
One can now say that there's no vision, so it's difficult to become.
No, the vision is there in Yecheskel.
Okay.
Right. So the question that you're saying is what is this for us? Right. I'm saying yes. There are some people who are learning this. Maybe they're looking at Yecheskel. Meaning, is it something that obligatory on every individual to learn exactly how the house connects? Obviously, it can't be, because we're not learning it. We don't know exactly what the connection between the bias and the Mishkan and our bodies and our souls. We don't know. That's like all this Kabbalistic teaching, right? So the answer is that's not the point. The point, meaning, on some level, of course, that is the point. But on our level, it's enough for us to know that we are parallel to the Beis Hamikdash, and there are good deeds form the Beis Hamikdash, and our bad deeds destroy the Beis Hamikdash. When we are on that level to really complete the picture, yes. But on our basic level, we just need to know that every action that we do, has that potential. Whether we know exactly how it works, it doesn't make a difference. We just know that that's what it is, that that's what it accomplishes. We know that every action that we do, because every faculty of ours is parallel to something in the Beis Hamikdash, right? So therefore, we don't need to know exactly which faculty is parallel to which part, as long as we know that they are parallel. So we know that it's our job to make sure that our actions are always on the right side. Okay, so that's the end of the fourth chapter. Okay, so now what's going to be is, in Perek Hey is going to start a lengthy idea, okay, which he's going to mostly explain in the 6th and 7th parak, which is he's going to explain. So now, we finished this in the last piece of the 4th chapter, not in the Hagon. The last piece of the the 4th chapter, he goes back to the pasuk Vayihi ha'odom l'nefesh chaya. After and Hashem breathed the soul into the Odom, right? And the Odom became the Nefesh Chaya. He turned into a Nefesh Chaya, a living soul, which Targum translates as a speaking spirit, right? So we said that that's the simple meaning. The simple meaning, Nefesh Chaya, just means that he has the faculties of speech, which is the connection between the Ruchnius and the Gashmius, right? Good. But he's saying, but the literal, it didn't say, and inside the person there was a living soul. It says the person became a living soul, right? The person became a living soul. What does that mean? The person became a living soul. So he's saying he said the last piece was that just like the soul is the core of the body, and everything that happens with the body really originates with the soul. So too, the human being is really the soul of the entire creation. Right, so now Hashem breathed the soul into the human being, and so the human being became the soul, the living soul. Living soul to what? Living soul to the entire Bria, to the entire creation. Right? So now he's gonna elaborate on this idea. What does that mean? That via the breathing of the soul into the human clay, that the human clay became this soul to the universe. Okay? So that's fair. Okay. So let's see. Umashu also, so now he wants to know, Umashu also b'ritzoynu yizborach. Yizborach Shmoy. Now that it went up on in Hashem's will, right? Meaning that such an idea came up in Hashem's will, Yizborach Shmoy, blessed be his name. Leharkiv, to harkiv means to, when you connect two trees, right? Two trees, right? What does that mean? What's the English word for it?
Grafting.
Graft. There you go. So right. So Umashu also b'ritzoynu yizborach shmo. This that it went up on Hashem in Hashem's will. Leharkiv, to graft as ha'odam atachton, such a lowly man, a physical man, lowly man. L'roshei ha'olam ha'olyonim, to the heads, to the tops of the lofty worlds.
Gedalia, his grandmother passed away yesterday, so may her neshama have an aliyah. Fanya Bas Herschel. Fanya Bas Herschel.
Okay. Okay. So why? So basically, he's asking, why did Hashem want to graft the human being, this human physical being, to the, right, when he breathed the soul, he connected the loftiest heights of the spiritual worlds to this physical being. What's the purpose of that? Shisnahogo Yodu, that now the entire Bria is controlled through him. Why is that? Why is that the purpose? That's the big question that he's going to address through the following chapters. So he says like this: Ki yadua b'zohar kisvei Arizal. Because we know through Zohar and the writings of Arizal, beseder hishtalshelus. Okay, hishtalshelus comes from the word shalshelis. Shalshelis means a chain. Okay, so that's an important word. So word that the entire creation is like a chain, meaning from each world it's chained to the next world and the next world and the entire creation is a chain. So beseder hishtalshelus, in the order of this chain, the hiskashrus and the tying, the connections of all the worlds, shekol oilam hu misnaheg, that every world is guided, is controlled besidur matzove, in all of the details of its status, v'chol prote inyonav, and all the parts of its inyan, meaning the concepts, the main concepts of each world, in accordance with the leaning of power of the world that's above it. Meaning, what he's trying to say is that each lower sphere is controlled by the sphere that's above it. Right? Okay? So that's what we know, that since it's a chain, so the lower chain, the lower rung of the chain is controlled by the chain that's above it, and that one is controlled by the one that's above it, and so on and so forth. Shemanhigoi k'neshama saguf. So the world that's just one step above, manhig drives the world that's below it, k'neshama saguf, like a soul to a body. Right? V'chein hoilech al zeh haseder gavoya me'al gavoya, and so it continues according to this order, gavoya me'al gavoya, up and up. At who yizbarach shmoi nishmas kulam, until all the way to Hashem Himself, who is the soul over everything. Right? The Gemara in Brachas compares Hashem to a neshama. The Gemara says that there are these 5 elements that neshama has, that also so to speak, the Hashem has. Right? The neshama is not seen, but it controls the world. Hashem is not seen, but it controls. But Hashem controls the world. Okay, so ayin Zohar, and you could see this in Zohar. So he brings just basically this exact, almost word from word. V'chol alma, and every world, elo v'sato, higher and lower. Mereish roza, from the top of roza, of the secret, the nekuda ilo, from that uppermost point. Nekuda means a point. Nekuda ilo means that loftiest point. At soifo, until the end, the chodargin of all of the layers and all of the steps. Kulo ihu, they are all do levusha ledo v'do ledo. Each one is a levush. What's a levush? A garment. So it's like basically like imagine. I mean, I can't say, but imagine Hashem is like putting on layers of clothing on himself, right? So each layer, what?
To hide himself?
To hide himself, right. So each layer is a different world. It becomes a different garment, and the next garment is a clothing for the next garment, and the next world, and so to speak, right? And it continues. So do levusha de ledo, this one is a garment for this world, v'do ledo, and that one is a garment for the next world. Do legoy min do, this one is inside of that one, v'do legoy min do, and that one is inside of the other one, right? So this is the picture. I don't think it means like physically, we imagine physically that each world is a physical layer, right? One inside the other. We can think of, again, it's very hard for us to think of conceptual space. Right. We think of physical space, right? This one is here, this one is low, right? And so but in our idea, if something is inside something else, that thing that's inside is smaller than the thing outside of it, right? If a circle, the smaller circle is inside, but that's not. This would be the opposite. This one, the inside is going to be the bigger circle, even though it's a conceptual space. It's not a physical space. So conceptually, it's inside of it, but it's the bigger circle. I don't know if that makes sense.
You mentioned density last time,
right? So
the weight of a planet,
right? But again, that's also physical. Okay, whatever. Anyway, so that's the okay, and then next will be Idra, and I'm skipping these. These in brackets over here are just Hebrew translations of the Aramaic and the Zohar. So I'm skipping the brackets because he doesn't have the brackets. Will be Idra, and same thing Idra, which is another part of the Zohar. V'kulhu nehoirin achidon. All of the lights are grouped or grasped. Nehoira do b'nehoira do. This one's lights are inside the other one's lights. So nehoira do b'nehoira do, and that one's lights is inside the other one's lights, and so on. And again, same idea that each world is internal to the each new world is external to the previous world, right? So the more spiritual, the more internal. That's generally the rule. Nahoira de Isgalia ikri levusha de Malka. The visible light, or the more visible light, is called the garment of the king. Nahoira de Lagoy Lagoy. The light of inside. This one is inside the other one. Okay, again, so you're just painting a picture that the way the spiritual worlds progress is that the more spiritual world is inside the next layer. And then that layer is inside the next layer, and so on and so forth. Okay. And then he's going to say that he's not really going into the the details of how this works. If you want to know, if you want to really understand, you got to go learn this sefer called HaChaim. It's these primary sforim by Rav Chaim Vital. Shar pnimius v'chitzonius, in the gate of internals and externals, Durush base. And also pre HaChaim, and also in the book called the fruit of HaChaim, V'hakdomas Shara Shabbos Perek Zayin and Perek Ches, U'b'Shara Shabbos, and also in the Shara Shabbos Perek Chav Dalet, Shechitzonios shall call parts of oilam, that the external layer of every parts of means, is again a Kabbalistic term, which means parts of means not exactly a face, but a I don't know how to translate the word parts of. let's just, не знаю, как трафарет какой-то, but some kind of a
Imprint?
no, it means parts of usually means like the face, right? For example, we say that one of the opinions that Adam and Chava were created as one person, shnei partzufim, two faces, right?
Okay.
One, right? So partzuf just means I could say the face, okay?
An appearance.
So there is basically, again, kabbalistically, these worlds can become like partzufim. They become like almost like, I don't want to say something that I don't know much about. Anyways, mispashet. So it expands mislabish and it gets clothed by parts of oilam shetachtov in the world that's beneath it. And so that world becomes its inside and its neshama. Okay, good. Now there are many worlds. There, each layer and layer and layer and layer and layer. There are millions of layers, right? Mm-hmm. But each of these layers are divided into 4 primary kind of sections of layers. Okay, these are the 4 worlds. He's going to call them right now by different names. Later he's going to use another name. Right? What are these 4 layers? Shehain, they're called ha'oifanim. The first layer, the lowest layer, is called oifanim. Literal translation of the word oifanim means wheels. Okay? But it's referring to a certain set of angels. The lower angels, there are different layers of angels also. There's some places that says 10 layers of angels, 10 hierarchy, the hierarchy of angels. So the lowest of angels are called wheels. Right? Which is, again, it's just a symbolic term. We understand why it's called wheels, because that's wheel runs on the ground. So the world just above the physical is oifanim. Right, the wheels. On top, the next sphere of layers called HaChaim. HaChaim, right? What's the chayos literal translation? It means living beings. Living beings. So for example, we refer to animals, chayos, right? Chayos, rois, like bad animals. But we also, the highest angels are also called chayos, right? If you in kedusha or in Birchas Kriya, it says, right, v'hoifanim v'chayos hakodesh, right? The hoifanim, which is certain types of angels, v'chayos hakodesh, and the holy chayos, they praise Hashem. So that's the second tier. Right? The third tier above that is called the Kisei Kvoida, is called the throne of his glory. Right? And then finally, the 4th layer is called the Atzilus Kocho, his Atzilus. Okay? Atzilus is a very difficult word. The word Atzilus comes from the word Eitzel. Okay? Eitzel in Hebrew means near. Right? Eitzel, this is Eitzel that. This is by this. Right? So Eitzel means near. So the word Atzilus could be best translated as world of nearness. Meaning it's so close to the essence of Hashem that it's independent of him, but it is Atzilus, it's nearness. That's like, as high as it gets. Atzilus. Okay? That's the 4th highest tier. Good. So these are the 4. So all of these different worlds, that the levushim that he said, the garments within garments within garments, they're divided into 4 tiers. Again, Ifanim, Chayos, Kisei HaKovod, and Atzilus. Okay? So that he summarizes, V'nishmas kol echad hu oilam she'oilov. And the soul of each one is the world that's above it. Right? And again, he brings it from Yecheskel. Now, Yecheskel starts out, the prophet of Yecheskel is a very interesting prophet. What makes Yecheskel interesting is that Yecheskel begins with his prophecy in a river that's not in Eretz Yisrael. It says, and I'm standing on the river right, I am in the exile, al Nahar Kvar, on the river called Kvar. Right? So it's an unusual prophecy, meaning this is kind of on the way as Jews are leaving Israel, Beis Mikdash is destroyed. Right? Yecheskel gets this prophecy. And what is the prophecy about? This is the section, the first section. This is the one that we read on Shavuos. right? We read on Shavuos, it's called the Maisa Merkava. It's the description of this Merkava that we were talking about, the chariot. These angels and different layers of angels, and they have these wings and those wings, and they cover their legs with this set of wings and that. Right, detailed. Right, exactly. So meaning that as the Golos is starting, Hashem sends to His prophet, like, here's kind of this secret teaching which was available in the Beis Hamikdash. Now that secret teaching is no longer available in the Beis Hamikdash. So here I'm giving it to you. So that's Prophet Yechezkel. That's what he starts with, right? Towards the end, we already saw he describes the third Beis Hamikdash, right? That's the end of Yechezkel, right? So Yechezkel is this prophet which is kind of preparing Klal Yisrael for their journey out of the first Beis Hamikdash all the way until the third Beis Hamikdash, right? So in that description of the first chapter, in the description of this Maisa Merkava, it says Ubihino Seyach Hayos, and when the Chayos, right, these angels called the Chayos, when they fly up, right? Yinosu ha'oifanim lumasom. So to parallel to them, the oifanim move with them, right? Kiruach hachaya ba'oifanim. For the spirit of the chaya is within the oifanim. Belechtam yelechu ba'omdam yamoidu. When they walk, they walk, and when they stand, right? So again, it's just showing you clearly from a pasuk that the chayos, which is the world above, and the Oifanim, the Chayas control the Oifanim. If the Chayas go up, the Oifanim go up with them. If these guys go, these guys go. Okay.
Wow.
But then he says, "V'achayas gamken misnayim al yidei olam hakisei shaleim," and he elaborates the Chayas are also controlled by the world that's above them, which is the kisei, which is the throne of glory. Just like our rabbis have said, "Shakisei noisei esno osov." That the kisei, the chair, the throne of glory, noisei es noisov, it carries its carriers. The kisei, the throne, carries its carriers, just like the Aron Kodesh in the Beis Hamikdash, right? They used to carry the carriers. It looked like the carriers were carrying the Aron, but in reality, the Aron was carrying the carriers, right? Ubezoyer Chodesh and the new Zohar in Parshas Yisro, the Chayos notlin lidinotlin. Loin Kursaya Kadisha Netila Chayos. That's the Hebrew for Chayos Noisuros as a Noisim. The Chayos are carrying those that are carrying it. Hakise HaKodesh Noiseh Chayos. And the Kise HaKodesh, the throne of glory, carries the Chayos, right? So again, we see that the internal world is the neshama of the external world, and it controls the external world. Good. Now, here's the punchline. V'nishmas HaChaim shel HaKisei. So what is the soul of the Kisei, right? So we said that each world, the upper world is the soul of the lower world. So what's the soul of the throne of glory? Husoid shoyrish ha'elyon shel klolus nishmas Yisrael yachad. It is the secret of the high root, shoyrish ha'elyon, the high root, of the sum total of all Jewish souls. Okay? So this, right, in other words, right, there's this another expression from the Zohar, right, that we sing as a song, Yisrael ve'araisa v'kudsha brichu chadu, right? The Jews and the Torah and Hashem are all one. So each one of us individual Jews are askolki, are, right, breakoffs from the one giant soul of the entire nation of Israel. That one giant soul, the entire nation of Israel, is the neshama, is actually the soul of the throne of glory. Okay, so now it all comes back together. So as he just elaborately in length discussed how each world is layered, and each layer is the soul of the previous layer, and and that soul is the previous of that soul, and so on and so forth. On top of the Kisei HaKovod, what's that? The soul of that top of that world. That's the Shoyrish Elyon, the collective neshama of Klal Yisrael. That is, right, Shehu Yoiser Gavoya, for it is higher, Umu'oid Nale, and more lofty, Gam Me'akise, even more than so than the throne of glory, Shehu ha'odom she'ala kisei, for it is the person that's on the throne, right? Why is it, meaning, what is he saying? He's saying this, why is this world, this lofty world, the third world, represented by the kisei, by the throne? If it's a throne, then somebody's sitting on top of it, right? Somebody's sitting on the throne. Who's sitting on the throne? Well, so he's saying, again, it's hard to verbalize this thing, but we're saying Yisrael v'Araisa v'Kutchabrichu Chadu, the collective soul of the Jewish people, and Hashem, this being is sitting on top of the throne. Okay? And Kamoisha Namar, again, says over there in Yecheskel, it also says, Musa Kisei, and on the Dmus, on the picture of the Kisei, is an Adam, is this image of man. Okay? So, and this is back to this idea that we were talking, the letter that Yaakov saw, and the Malachim going back and forth. Yisrael, Klal Yisrael, is Yaakov, is that forefather. Okay. What's the time?
No, you said last week's
No,
part. 24.
Okay, let's just do, so this begins the Haggadah. Over here I have the Haggadah. So let's just do 2 lines of the Haggadah and we'll stop. Okay, so Haggadah says, Ki ikar ha'odam hu natua l'mayla b'shoirish nishmasa, because really the essence of a person is not this thing that we see in the mirror. Our essence is not the thing that we think of ourselves. Our essence is really natua, is planted up there in the root of our soul. Right? What is our essence? The root of our soul. Shoirish nishmasa, the root of our soul. Ulozois nikra haguf na'al, which is why in the Zohar, the guf, the body, is called a shoe. Okay? It's called a shoe. Neged and neshama. Why is it a shoe? Because it's a shoe in comparison to the soul. The soul enters the body. Wait, it says, Kirag bechinas akevayim, for only our heel, the heel of the neshama, me'ashoyer from our root, nichnas l'toich gufa odom. Only the heel of the neshama enters the body of the person. Okay? So what we see ourselves, all of our faculties and all of our things, that's only our body with the heel of the neshama. There's much more to our being that we are conscious of. Significantly more. The majority of our being is outside of our daily interaction. Okay? So that we're gonna continue. Which is, by the way, why on Yom Kippur we take off our shoes. Because one of the reasons on Yom Kippur we take off our shoes is because we're symbolizing this idea that we are kind of removing the physical shoe, and we're turning into the more connecting to our neshama more on Yom Kippur. So what did we gain today? So first we learned the first lesson was that the Beis Hamikdash, the physical structure of the Beis Hamikdash was there only as a visual aid in order for each individual to become the Beis Hamikdash. Okay, and I guess, and he's going to say this also later, is that it's not, meaning to some degree an individual, but to really on a full level, like he said, right, like he's saying now, the klalias, the collective body of the Jewish people are to become that place where the Shekhinah resides. Okay, that's the first thing. But now he's just started us off with the question, which we don't have an answer to. The question is, why did Hashem create this human being exactly in such a way that he took this physical human being and connected him to these highest echelons of the spiritual world? So that was the question. In order to answer that question, he began painting a picture of these different worlds, one internal to the next, one internal to the next, right? And then he did the last thing that he ended off with that really the soul of all of these worlds is the collective soul of the Jewish people, right? That's the end of that's the last thing. And now we started the Haggadah that each individual essence is really the soul. Okay.
Sure.
See.